Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray, where I am here live every morning. It's Monday through Friday at 7:30 Eastern. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you hanging out. We've got some stories to get to. Now, one of the ones I was going to do yesterday, I woke up late, didn't get a lot of stuff done, but I wanted to get to it yesterday, but we're going to get to it this morning. The judge in Wisconsin who has been arrested for harboring an illegal criminal. This person was arrested and was in court for domestic violence. Now, supposedly this person put two people in the hospital with serious injuries, beating one woman to a pulp and beating up another guy. Both people went to the hospital with serious injuries. Now, as far as I understand it, they're both okay at this point, thankfully. But we're going to get to the story, the fact that she hid this person from ICE who was waiting for this person to have them deported. This person was in court for domestic violence for putting two people in a hospital. And this judge took it upon herself to hide this person from ICE enforcement agents so that they wouldn't get deported. These are the kinds of people who should not be in positions of power, should not be a judge, and she was rightfully arrested. But we've got some other developments in this story, and we'll get to that. There's a bunch of people commenting on it on the wrong side of history, in my opinion, but we'll get to that too. I mean, Maxine Dexter, Don Lemon, of course, they're going to be siding with this judge in this particular case, and why not? Because they can't go with the Trump narrative. They just cannot do it. Anyway, we've got that, and we've got a representative from Michigan. Now, it's a Democrat that nobody's heard of, and rightfully so, because this person is irrelevant for the most part. Haven't done anything other than maybe he's trying to make a bid at the White House. Who knows? And we got old Pritzker in the news again, making headlines, and in my opinion, calling for it's a little bit insurrection-y. In my opinion, it's probably, like I said, in my mind and in my thoughts, it's worse than anything President Trump said about Jan 6, but you can argue with me about that if you want to. And we got, to no one's surprise, Mark Carney is the new Prime Minister of Canada. Anybody see that coming? I sure did. If anybody thought that the conservative leader was going to win that election, you let me know. I didn't think it was going to happen. I figured Mark Carney had it in the bag, and he did. He won by an alarming amount. Not alarming, not surprising. Anyway, I say alarming, wrong choice of words. It's to nobody's surprise that this guy won the election in Canada. We'll get into that a little bit too. But let's see. Let's go ahead and shrink myself down here, and we'll get into this now. Now, this judge, what was her name? Hold on. I can't remember her name to save my life right now. Give me a sec here. Judge Hannah Dugan. That's it. Okay. I can't believe I was drawing a blank. I go live and I just forget everything. Anyway, so this Judge Dugan, who this person actively hides a criminal who violently attacked two different people, putting them in the hospital. Now, I don't know the circumstances, but the way it sounds to me like this person just got aggravated and put two people in the hospital. Just apparently it was over some loud music that was being played. Apparently they couldn't work it out, but this person resorted to violence and put two people into the hospital. In my opinion, this is the kinds of people that are in this country who have flooded the southern border during Biden's disastrous open borders policy. When Kamala was deemed the border czar, now people can say that she wasn't that in title, but she was specifically put in charge of the border by President Biden. You can see that there's clips all over the place where you can see him specifically say that she is in charge of the border and that she is the best qualified person for that job. The video's there. You can go look it up. Anyway, Now, this person, we'll see what CNN has to say about her and the fact that she was arrested by ICE agents. Or, I don't know. No, it wasn't ICE agents. Maybe it was ICE agents. I don't know. Let's see. I forget. I believe she. Anyway, the point being, she was arrested. And rightfully so. She harbored an illegal migrant who was already in court for a different crime, violently attacking two different people. And then she let this person out the back door. Took this person through the jury chamber doors and out the back door so that he wouldn't be detained by ICE. This is clear obstruction. You can say what you want, but this person broke the law. And it's funny to me how the left, for how many years, was saying nobody is above the law in reference to President Trump, in reference to the judges that he picked for the Supreme Court, to, any other Republican who goes against them in the Senate, the House, what have you. They will preach all day long. Nobody is above the law. This is a prime example of that. Now they're coming out in defense of this person. This judge, Hannah Dugan, should be arrested because she committed a crime. Democrats, nobody's above the law, right? This is a prime example of it. But they're not going to say that about this person because she's on their side. Anyway, let's take a look at this clip from CNN.
We are just getting these court records for this new case against this judge. What is she accused of? Obstructing a proceeding as well as concealing an individual to prevent his discovery and arrest. So a U.S. Marshal has confirmed, or a U.S. Marshal spokesperson has confirmed to us this morning that the judge, Hannah Dugan, a local judge, Milwaukee County Court, she was arrested on courthouse grounds where she works at about 8:30 this morning, taken into custody, appearing before the federal court about these charges, helping an immigrant from Mexico try to escape federal immigration authorities.
Yes.
The story of how that happened, it all took place on April 18th. That man, a man named Eduardo Flores Ruiz, he was in her court for a domestic violence charge, according to the court records. And at the hearing...
Again, just want to stress the fact, the guy was in her courtroom for domestic violence, putting two people in the hospital. These are the people that they're defending. Illegal. Okay, they came across the border. That's illegal. That's the first crime that they committed. The second, these people have committed further crimes inside of the United States. And these people are actively defending them, wanting them to stay in our countries, in our communities, on our streets where our children play. I'm not okay with it. I'm not. And this person actually helped this person escape ICE detention. She should be arrested. She broke the law. No one's above the law, right? Anyway, let's keep going.
The immigration authorities from the federal government were waiting to apprehend him for these immigration removal proceedings, but Judge Dugan, according to the court record against her, became visibly angry, commented that the situation was absurd, left the bench, entered chambers, and then escorted.
Now, apparently, this Judge Dugan, she went out and had talked to the ICE agents. She was furious, apparently. This is just what I read. I wasn't there, but from what I understand, she went out, talked to ICE agents in the hall, took them out. They were in the courtroom waiting, from what I read. She took them out into the hall, told them they couldn't be in there, but, whatever. It's her courtroom. She can, I guess she can do what she wants. Told them they couldn't be there. Left them in the hallway, and then proceeded to escort this illegal criminal, again, who put two people into the hospital. Escorted him through the jury chamber doors, through the back door, and said, take off. Go. Helping him evade ICE detention. That is a crime. No one's above the law, right?
Later, Flores Ruiz threw a jury door so that he would avoid his arrest by federal immigration authorities. That is according to the Justice Department in federal court. Flores Ruiz has also been apprehended. He appeared in court yesterday.
Good.
Quite an aggressive move by the Trump administration.
Quite an aggressive move by the Trump administration. I don't think so. I don't think they've made enough aggressive moves, in my opinion. Where's the investigations into Congress? What about investigation into people who have played the stock market? Again, my opinion, I don't think if you're in a sitting position of power in Congress, a mayor, whatever the case may be, I don't think you should have the ability to play the stock market. You have influence over whether these companies can make it or if they fail. You shouldn't be able to partake of the stock market in being in that kind of position of power, making laws that could make or break a company, and then you're able to buy into said company, shouldn't be a thing. Where's the investigations into that? Where's the investigations into the rest of these judges? Where's the arrest? I don't think there's been enough. This comes on the heels of the other judge, former judge, he's retired apparently, and his wife being arrested in New Mexico for harboring a TDA gang member. Said that he was doing some work on their house and they let him stay in their guest house. They've been arrested, rightfully so, hiding an illegal gang member in their home. Same thing with this. I'm okay with this. I think there should be more. Anyway, where's the rest of it? Maxine Dexter, who said that she was going to stay in El Salvador until Garcia was brought back to the U.S. Well, she's back now, but so she didn't hold true to that statement. I didn't think she would. A lot of people were out there saying, well, she wants to stay there. That's on her. Stay gone. Nobody cares about her. Because nobody does. These people, this is their grandstanding moment, and they're going to take advantage of every chance that they get. A lot of them might, in my personal opinion, because the Democratic Party has no leadership. AOC's leading at 10%. That tells you all you need to know right there. The AOCs of the world, the Democrats they don't have no leadership. And so you've got all these people that you've never heard of until now making their grandstanding moments. I think a lot of them are going to put their bids in for the presidency on the Democrat side because there's no clear leadership. So everybody's going to throw their name in the hat. Everybody, any chance that they get, they'll grandstand, put their name out there, because a lot of these people, you never heard of them until they did something like this. Anyway, I digress. Let's see what old Maxine Dexter said about this situation.
Federal judge being taken into custody without clarity of what the charge is or what infraction there has been.
It was not, it's not like they did it in secret. Okay. They did it publicly. They openly said what she was being charged with. They openly said what their arrest was for. She obstructed and hid an illegal immigrant from ICE agent authorities. That's it. That's the charge. It's obstruction. Clear and simple. I'm not a judge, not a lawyer. But even I can see that this is obstruction. This is aiding and abetting, obstruction, however you want to call it. I'm smart enough to understand that this is not okay. It's against the law.
Is without question a very dangerous signal about what's happening. And I agree with you. It's a through line. Like, the people willing to protect immigrants from being deported without due process are the target here.
Okay, everybody wants to talk about this due process thing. Let me just inform you, okay? This is something that I actually looked this up, okay? Just for clarity. The president has the authority to do this. They are talking all day long about due process not being a thing, and these people are being deported. But look, the people that President Trump has been going after, his ICE agents, Tom Homan, Pam Bondi, what have you, these people are not here legally. That's the first crime. The second crime is they've committed further crimes within the United States. And look, the president has the authority to issue, deportations under the U.S. Constitution. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2 states that the privilege of the right of habeas corpus may be suspended when in cases of rebellion or invasion. The public safety may require it. This power is implied to rest with the president, as the executive, through Congress, may also authorize such a suspension. So that tells you right there. And in an invasion, and in my personal opinion, I would definitely say that the flood of illegals coming into this country during the Biden administration justifies being classified as an invasion. We don't even know how many people actually came in. A low end of the number is 10 million. High end is probably around 20 million. How many people does it take to classify it as an invasion? I think 10 million people is enough. That's plenty enough people to classify this as an invasion. You can argue with me against that fact, but you know what? 10 million people is a lot of people. And the United States cannot. It just won't sustain that many people coming in. Again, I will stress this fact. I will say this over and over again. It's burned into my brain. I want to burn it into everybody else's. The low end, it's anywhere from $150 billion upwards to about $400 billion that it costs in taxpayer dollars. That's what we pay for these illegal immigrants that have been in the country, because they're living off of taxpayer dollars. There's a difference between the illegal immigrants that are coming in today, and I don't want to hear the argument about, well, we're a nation founded on immigrants. No, we're a nation that was founded on settlers. There's a huge difference. Big difference. Settlers came to this country and sacrificed everything to come here for a better life. They lived off the land. They did what they needed to survive. There's a huge difference between that and the people that are coming into this country now and living off of taxpayer dollars. They're living off of, government assistance. Some of these people, you see stories all over the internet about some of these people getting $3,000 a month in cash on top of the EBT benefits that they're receiving. Why? When people like me, I have a full-time job. I do this on the side. I have to go to work. I work hard every day. And my taxpayer dollars are going to people who come into this country illegally and don't contribute to the society. I'm not okay with it. I'm not. Anyway, Maxine, I'm not a fan of her, but I think she's an idiot. But that's just my opinion. Don Lemon, he weighed on this as well. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Is this what we've come to? A judge being arrested by the FBI. A judge in Wisconsin was arrested by the FBI. They're accusing her of at least misleading ICE agents or throwing them off the trail.
It's exactly what she did, Don. That's exactly what would you call it there, Don? When you have a judge that sneaks an illegal alien out the back door to evade ICE detention. What else would you call it?
Of someone that they deem to be an illegal alien, as they call them, or an undocumented person. It's really scary. Kash Patel was behind it. He put up a tweet. He has since deleted it. I want to know what's going on. Is this where we're living, in a time where you can detain judges because they're not doing what you want them to do?
They're detaining judges because they broke the law. Look, the left is running with this narrative about this judge saying that she's just being arrested because she's not going along with President Trump. It's not the case. She's being arrested because she broke the law. But they won't tell you. They have to run with their narrative. They won't tell you that.
What happened to the independence of the judiciary? We're supposed to have 3 branches of government.
What about you, Don? Don Lemon was one of the people that came out and said that nobody's above the law. What about you, Don? Is this just because she's on your side, she's above the law, so you're okay with her doing it? Just not anybody on the right? Am I correct in my assumption there, Don? You let me know. Anyway, so we got this story from the Post Millennial on this. Now, the judge who has been assigned, now judges are randomly assigned cases. The judge who ended up with this case in Wisconsin judge refuses to hold court over arrest of Hannah Dugan for shielding illegal immigrants from ICE. Again. So this is the judge. And let's see what the Post-Millennial says. A Wisconsin judge is vowing to shut down her courtroom in defiance after another judge was arrested for allegedly helping an illegal immigrant avoid federal agents. It's exactly what she did. Judge Monica Isham, I don't know how to say that last name, but maybe I got it right, said in an email to judges statewide on Saturday that she could refuse to hold court in Sawyer County unless she receives more support and guidance in her message titled Guidance Requested or I Refuse to Hold Court. If there is no guidance for us and no support for us, I will refuse to hold court in Branch 2 in Sawyer County. I will not put myself or my staff who may feel compelled to help me or my community in harm's way, according to a copy obtained by Wisconsin Right Now. So this judge made it clear she wants nothing to do with working with immigration and customs enforcement, she continued. Of course she doesn't. Why would she? She wants to stay in the good graces of the left. So why would she work with that? Anyway. I have no intention of allowing anyone to be taken out of my courtroom by ICE and sent to a concentration camp, especially without due process, as both of the constitutions we swore to support require. Should I start raising bail Monday? She also said. If this costs me my job or gets me arrested, then at least I know I did the right thing. Well, at least they can say they're coming out and saying, look, I might get arrested for this, but they're going to stand with the left. And look, they'll get all kinds of, look at the summer of 2020 being a prime example of this. They'll raise money to get her out. They'll raise money to support her and what have you, because that's what the left does. Anyway, let's see. Her comments come after Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested last week. Dugan faces charges of obstruction of an official proceeding and concealing an individual to prevent discovery and arrest. According to the criminal complaint, Dugan allegedly helped an illegal immigrant escape arrest after her court hearing. Yes, exactly what she did. Federal agents from the ICE, the FBI, Customs and Border Protection, and the DEA had planned to arrest Eduardo Ruiz, a Mexican national who had just faced misdemeanor battery charges. My opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but putting two people in the hospital probably should justify being a felony, not a misdemeanor. Again, I'm not a judge. I don't know. But two people in the hospital probably should be a felony. Just what I think. Let's see, where was I? Once Flores Ruiz hearing ended, Dugan allegedly escorted him and his attorney out a restricted jury door, helping him bypass federal officers waiting in the public area. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, criticized Isham's threats on social media, calling her ultimatum problematic. Yeah. Judge Dugan previously served as executive director of Catholic Charities and was elected to Branch 31 of the Circuit Court in 2016. She ran unopposed for re-election in 2022 and typically oversees misdemeanor cases, according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. So, you've got a judge gets arrested for committing a crime. It's a crime. I don't care what the left says. I don't care what the narrative says. It's a crime. Now you've got another judge who says that she's not going to hold court for this person because she's not in agreement with it either. You can throw out all the technical terms you want. In my opinion, she's doing it because she doesn't want to. She wants to stay in the good graces of the left because that's who runs that state. Wisconsin is run by the Democrats. It's sad but true. Anyway, I think she should be prosecuted. I think she should be found guilty. I think she's guilty. She led somebody through the back door. But anyway, now a lot of people are saying due process. Okay, let's not forget. Okay, that when Obama was president of the United States, he had the nickname Deporter in Chief. Deported many illegals that were here in the country. And how many of them got due process? I will let you take a guess. Take a gander at what he did and take a guess at how many people he deported that got due process. Just I'll wait just a quick second. You can let me know. Comment. Tell me. Pause it if you're watching it later. Let me know what you think as far as how many people during the Obama administration got due process. Let me fill you in. This from Glenn Beck, credible in my opinion. Bill Clinton formally removed almost 1 million illegal immigrants. He faced 12 court injunctions. Okay, so this is injunctions, not the due process, but I'll get into the due process as well. George Bush formally removed 2 million illegals. He faced 6 court injunctions. Obama formally removed 3 million illegals, and it's a debatable number. I've seen 2.8 million. I've also seen, just over 4 million. It's a number that nobody has an exact number on. But anyway, he faced 12 court injunctions. Trump faced 30 court injunctions during his first term, and now facing another 30 injunctions during his second term. We're at 2 days, his 100th day in the office, and he's already got 30 injunctions against him when he had 30 during his whole first term. What does that tell you? It's wild. Okay. Anyway, he only formally removed 1.5 million illegals during his first term, and so far 138,000 so far in his second term. But somehow he's Hitler, and that's another thing. The Hitler argument. It's not a good thing. But anyway, let me share this little tidbit with you about the deportations. Let's see. I don't remember. I don't have it up here. Let me just bring it back over here. Let me find it again. Got Obama. Okay, searching. Let's see what we got. Maybe. Come on now. Okay. So, under Obama, let's see, this says approximately 5.3 million removals. Let's see. Where is it? There we go. I think that's it. Okay. So, the removals under Obama. This is under Obama, who was nicknamed the deporter in chief. Approximately 75% of deportations under Obama were non-judicial removals, meaning they did not involve a hearing before an immigration judge. So what? I don't recall seeing any kind of calls or anything else against Obama when he was in office during all the deportations that he had taking place. And again, a rough estimate being 75% of the deportations, none of them had due process. They were just put on a flight and sent back home. And there was no kind of calls from the left-wing media saying that they needed due process for these illegals being sent back. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know. I don't recall seeing it anywhere. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and move on here. This is interesting. Now, somebody can let me know if you've heard of this person before, because before I saw this story, I had no idea who this person was. So apparently this is Shri, I'm going to butcher the name, Shri Thandedar. I don't know. He is from India, okay? He's a Democrat representative in Michigan. Again, I never heard of this guy before now. Maybe he's making a bid for the presidency. I don't know. He could be. A lot of these Democrats are making waves, and a lot of them you never heard of until now. Maybe he's going to make a bid for the Senate. I don't know. But he's getting his name out there. He's grandstanding because none of this, what he's doing, holds any kind of water. Again. But anyway, take a look at what he says here. This is interesting. Again, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's grandstanding. They don't have the Senate. They don't have the House. They're not going to get the votes that they need to actually impeach this guy. But he's calling for the impeachment. He's bringing up 7 different articles of impeachment against President Trump. So Let's take a look at a clip now. This is a little bit longer of a clip. It's a little over 3 minutes, so just bear with me on this one. But let's see what he has to say.
This is Congressman Shri Thandedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling that...
Just to be clear, I want to clarify. I misspoke. He's actually from India, so he can't run for president. So him making a bid for the presidency, that's just a misspeak on my part, because he actually is from India. He can't run for the presidency. He can still run for Senate. In my opinion, I don't think he should be able to. I don't think if you're an immigrant from another country, if you're here legally, yeah, you have the right to vote, everything else. I'm fine with all that. I don't think that they should hold probably a higher office than, at the local level. That's just my opinion. Probably won't ever change, but I'm all for that. But just for clarity there.
It has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump.
This guy, look, we've already established that Kilmer is an illegal alien who is part of MS-13, has known associates in MS-13, got arrested with 2 MS-13 other gang members, has been accused of other heinous crimes. That person should not be in the United States. I don't care what the Supreme Court, yeah, they said, okay, bring this guy back. He's already there. Bukele, the president of El Salvador, said that he's not going to smuggle a known gang member who the gang he's a part of has been designated as a foreign terrorist group. So Bukele said that he's not going to smuggle a known terrorist back into the United States. It's not going to happen. The only thing that President Trump can do as far as that executive, the SCOTUS demand, as it were, is say, hey, he calls up Bukele. He says, hey, bring this guy back. He says, no. Trump says, okay. That's it. That's all he can do.
Ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact.
No, he didn't.
This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why
I give him, it is deliberate. I don't think it's dangerous. I think he's trying to make America safe for its citizens again. Again, criminals who are here illegally should be sent back to their countries of origin. How is that dangerous? Tell me, Mr. Shri.
today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment. Article 1.
Okay, look, I'm not gonna sit here and go through. Excuse me. I'm not gonna listen to him go through all this. I can just do it easier this way. This is, so he got, blah blah blah, obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power for denying due process, violating immigration law, and defying court orders. Again, I read you the article. It's constitutional that the president is able to do this. I already read that to you. So, abuse of trade authority and international aggression for imposing tariffs without statutory authorization and threatening military action against sovereign nations. No, when? Tell me, because I haven't seen it. When did he threaten military action against another nation? When? I haven't seen it. When did this happen? Somebody let me know. Comment. Tell me, when did he threaten military action against another nation? I didn't see it. No, I haven't seen that anywhere. Anyway, before I ramble about that, and the tariffs. In a previous video, I read the article where he's in complete within his authority to impose tariffs on other countries. That's not something that he's not able to do. It is. He's fully within his rights as the executive of the government. First Amendment violations through retaliatory actions against critics, the media, and attorneys. Where? When? Creation of unlawful office by establishing Doge. Look, all he did was take one part of the government and he renamed it. That was all that was. And now they're actually, look, the Democrats talked for years about thinning the government and wasteful spending within the government. And now that Trump actually did it, they're all up in arms about it. Anyway, bribery and corruption for dismissing criminal cases, soliciting foreign emoluments. I swear I'm college educated. And extracting or extorting settlements for personal or political gain. When? I don't remember that happening either. Tyrannical overreach or seeking to consolidate unchecked power, erode civil liberties, and ignore constitutional limits on presidential authority. Look, besides everything in that statement being a complete lie, again, I just think that this guy is grandstanding. It's kind of like everybody remembers Al Green, right? When he talked to, he stood up during President Trump's State of the Union, not State of the Union. Everybody remembers that, right? It was grandstanding. That's all it was. He was grandstanding, getting his time in the limelight, and that was about it. Because look, I'll tell you right now, Al Green, he went away. Nobody's heard from the guy since he did that at the State of the Union, not State of the Union. Where's that guy been? He kind of disappeared, fell off the earth. Nobody's heard from him since then. I think he was on a podcast. I forget which one. Kamala was on it, the same one, but I forget. And before I ramble on about that, I think the guy's just going along with the leftist talking points. He's maybe he'll make a bid for the Senate. Again, he can't be president, but maybe he's making a bid for a higher office. Because nobody knew who this guy was until now. I sure didn't. Never heard of the guy. Not once. Unless you're actually in Michigan, in this guy's district, you never heard of him. I think this is his time to get his little time in the limelight. That's all this is. Just like Al Green. And I think that this guy will fall off. Once this story might be relevant for a few days, and then you'll never hear about it again. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be. But speaking of grandstanding, we've got Pritzker. Oh, Pritzker. Everybody knows this guy. Now, this guy is a bit more relevant as far as political figures. But this guy has come out and said in a speech that he gave, "Never in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. I warned before the election this left was planning the BLM riots 2.0. It's coming. I believe it is. I think the summer of love in 2020, that I think it was fueled by the left wing, because it was. You had Kamala Lala out there, prancing around, asking people to donate to, GoFundMe and what have you, that were supporting these rioters and these violent criminals to get them out of jail, to post money for their bail bonds. I think it was left-wing powered. I think that it would not surprise me in the least if there was another Summer of Love 2.0. Not in the least. But let's take a look at what the old JD here said. And again, you let me know what you think. I think that there's a very good possibility of another summer of violence and riots and what have you. It's a very good possibility because, look, when you've got left-wing talking points saying, actively calling people in the administration, comparing them to Hitler and what have you, that's what happens. Anyway, let's see what he said.
In my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now.
Look, and I'll just say, in my opinion, this is definitely worse than anything that President Trump said. You can say what you want. There's a lot of hoaxes out there as far as good people on both sides hoax. There's the, peacefully and make your voices heard peacefully. That was the J6 thing. They took it out of context. They clipped it and ran with it. This, in my opinion, seems a lot worse than anything President Trump said. Just my opinion. But you let me know.
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
Now, that last part, the ballot box, he's talking about midterms. They are coming up. They're going to be here before everybody knows it. I think that if we don't start doing more stuff, then we could be in big, big trouble as far as midterms go. But now, take a look at this one. This is him doubling down on this now. He posted his own he just reposted his little speech that he had there. He's doubling down on it. He's not bashful about this. I think that he might be a valid, candidate for the presidency. He's not like a no-name guy. People have heard of him, maybe in limited spaces, but people have heard of him. When they said J.D. Pritzker, I knew who they were talking about. I think that this guy is genuinely making a run for the presidency. I think him, Gavin Newsom, maybe AOC. I don't see that. I think she's going to take over old Chuck Schumer's spot in the Senate, but I don't think she's going to run for president. But anyway, this guy's doubling down on his little speech. And again, I will say, I think this is much, much worse than anything that President Trump said, even taking it out of context as the left-wing media does. But it's time to stop apologizing and surrendering. We need to fight. I think, look, you can say what you want. This is much worse than anything President Trump has said. Anyway, maybe you can make an argument for the fight like hell comment that President Trump said, but, anyway. He went on the news, and he tripled down. Once he goes on the news, he went and talked with old Jen Psaki, the old circle back girl from the Biden presidency, and he went on her show and doubled down, tripled down, talking with her. So let's take a look at this.
The dangers that my family experienced in Ukraine, the dangers that we saw in Nazi Germany. Especially in the earliest days of Nazi Germany, are the dangers that we need to react to now. If we don't, things will get much, much worse. And so we've got to raise alarm bells to everybody. It's a 5-alarm fire, everyone. It's time to step out of your comfort zone and step out into the streets and speak up and make your voices heard, because that's the only thing that we have. That's the power that we have. And we can stop them in their tracks, because you know what? Republicans in Congress don't want to lose re-election. The dangers.
Again, he's talking about midterms. Again, I will say, I am a little bit worried about midterms. We have to get stuff done now so that everything smooths out by the time midterms comes around. Because if we lose the Senate or the House, there's going to be impeachments. It's going to happen. If Republicans cannot keep a hold of power within the Senate and the House, impeachments will happen. It happened before. It's going to happen again. But in regards to this clip, what exactly are we fighting against? What exactly do you want? You're fighting against illegal criminals within the country being deported back to their home origin countries. You want these illegal criminals to stay within the country where our kids walk down the street. That's what he's actively fighting for. Anyway, I think he's going to make a bid for the presidency. You can let me know what you think. He's probably going to make a run for the presidency. That's just my opinion. I think him and old Gavin Newsom, they'll probably be, in my opinion, I think that those two could be the two front runners as far as the Democrat Party. Unless AOC puts her name in there, she is pretty popular. I don't think she'll win a national vote as far as presidency goes. I think if she challenges Chucky over there, I think she'll win that hands down. She's very, very popular in New York. She'll win that election. I don't think she has a chance as far as if she became the front runner for the Democratic Party in the presidential race. I don't think she'd win. Just my opinion. But anyway, going on to Canada, Mark Carney becomes the new prime minister officially. Now he stepped in for Justin Trudeau after he stepped down, and he was, I guess, the interim prime minister. But the election took place yesterday, and Mark Carney is now the prime minister of Canada. He is their leader at this point. Not surprising to me. probably not surprising to a lot of people. I don't think that the Conservative Party had any chance whatsoever of getting into this office. But to be fair, whoever's got the most money in Canada, that's who's going to win. Whoever's got the most money to outbid the next person to the BBC, what have you, because that country is run by the news outlets and, powerful powers, otherwise not in government. So it's whoever's got the biggest pockets. And this guy ran, a couple of different banks. So the guy's got money. So it doesn't come as a surprise to me that he actually won the prime minister spot in Canada. But anyway, let's see why this is not scrolling. Let me go ahead and let's just do this. We will get over here. Nope, not that one. There we go. Got it here. So we'll just do this. That way y'all can see it. Okay, so Carney Liberals win re-election over Poilievre Conservatives. The federal election has been called for. Liberal leader Mark Carney, who will be re-elected as Prime Minister of Canada. He wasn't re-elected. He was installed. Okay, let's just be fair about this. I like Postmillennial. I like what they write. They're a good organized news organization, in my opinion. I like what they write. But just to be fair, he wasn't re-elected. He was installed. When Justin Trudeau stepped down, this guy was installed. Anyway, according to CBC's Decision Desk, securing another term for the Liberal Party after their campaign against Conservative leader Pierre, it is not yet clear whether the Liberals will form a minority or a majority government. The election comes at a critical moment for Canada, with voters weighing issues such as stagnant economy, out-of-control immigration, and national security. Carney's victory, bringing the Liberals back from the dead, will be a continuation of Liberal policies. Look, I will say, if you thought Justin Trudeau was bad, this guy's going to be worse. This guy was a financial advisor, a personal advisor to Trudeau, and then he just stepped into the role. This guy's going to be twice as bad as anything that Trudeau ever did. Just what I think, but pretty sure I'm going to be right about this. But let's take a little. This is a clip from CBS. We'll take a quick look at this here, and we'll move on.
And some news for all of you. Canada, get ready. Our CBC News Decision Desk is ready to make a call.
I guess it's just them calling it.
Canada's next government will be a Liberal government. It is not yet clear at this hour whether it will be a minority or majority, because some of...
Anyway, we'll move on from that. The party campaigned with a focus on U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada. Look, Canada's been taking advantage of America for a very, very, very long time. We subsidize everything that they have. The reason they have free health care and they don't have a very big military is the fact that their tariffs on us are pretty bad. I've done a video on it. You can go back and look at it. It's pretty bad. And people call us a bad neighbor, but they've been a bad neighbor to us for a very long time. But anyway, I digress. Let's see, where was I? However, following Donald Trump's election in the U.S., Trudeau's resignation, growing threats from the U.S. president regarding Canada's sovereignty and becoming the 51st state, and the collapse of the NDP under Jagmeet Singh, who had propped up the Liberals through a pseudo coalition, Conservative support began to implode. I don't understand why, but I'm not in Canada. I don't know how their government exactly works. I've got a vague understanding of it, but anyway, the last polls before Election Day showed the Liberals pulling ahead, with a Nanos tracking poll putting them at 43.7% support, compared to 36.3% for the Conservatives and 10.7% for the NDP. Carney, who campaigned as a steady hand amid the growing trade dispute with the United States, asking voters for a strong mandate to defend Canadian sovereignty. I guess, I mean, that's a pretty big gap between the Conservative and the Liberals and in the NDP. Big gaps. But his party also held leads in key battlegrounds like Quebec, Ontario, and British Columbia, which appear to be reflecting so far, while the Conservatives remain strong in the prairie provinces. Canada's a weird place, but anyway. Early voting began on Good Friday with Elections Canada reporting a record 7 million ballots cast in advance. Questions that Prime Minister Mark Carney failed to fully address during the campaign are likely to intensify following his victory. Among the concerns is Carney's 24 meeting with Chinese central bank officials, during which he secured a $276 million CDN loan for Brookfield Assessed Management, where he served as a chairman while also acting as an economic advisor to then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The guy is loaded. He's got connections everywhere. Again, it doesn't surprise me that he won, because the person with the most money in Canada tends to win those elections. They are able to buy their way into the prime minister spot. That's just everything I've seen. That seems to how it tends to go in Canada. It's a silly place. Glad I'm not there. Carney's tenure at Brookfield also remains a point of contention while promoting net zero environmental goals as part of his work with the Trudeau government and international climate groups. Carney simultaneously oversaw major investments in pipelines and fossil fuels as Brookfield's chairman. His past statements praising China's role in advancing green energy policies, despite China's significant coal production and emissions, are likely to draw renewed scrutiny as Carney begins his first full term as prime minister. Look, you can say what you want. Canada, or not Canada. See, I got Canada on the brain already, but China is not environmental friendly. They could care less about the environment. That's just how it is. China doesn't care about the environment. They don't. They are straight coal factory. What was it, like 10 or 15, coal mines every week or so, something like that. I know I could be just over exaggerating that point, but it's a lot. China's not environmental friendly. They could care less. And the fact that this guy came out and praised that, it's kind of wild to me. But look, I appreciate you hanging out. That's all I got for today. Just remember, I am here live every morning, 7:30 Eastern, just ahead of the Rumble lineup. So I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you checking it out. If you like what you saw, hey, hit the follow button, hit the like button, share the show with people that you know, throw it up. I'm trying to grow the channel, so just share it with everybody. And I appreciate everybody being here again. But I hope everybody enjoys their fine Tuesday morning. And today is 100 days for President Trump in office in his second term. So again, hope everybody has a great day. Appreciate you being here. God bless and take care of each other.